Okay, everyone, thank you very much for patiently waiting for the next run. We are now going to head over to the BPG13 for driver 76 any percent. We now have a comfortable donation total of £528.35. Thank you to that latest £10 donation by the Blue Female Bomber, which was actually really good. No comment and no incentives, of course, but thank you so much for that donation anyway. It's really appreciated. We're now going to head over to the BPG13 for driver 76 any percent. So please put your hands together. Let's get excited. Let's watch the next run. Driver 76 any percent. It's going to go over to your screens right now.
Okay. I take it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all good. Okay, no. Right, so hello everyone. I'm the BPG13, also known as Viper. With me is Phil Racer. Say hello.
Hello everyone.
And
I'm here to co-commentate and maybe provide some more insight into the game.
yeah, so this is Driver 76. It was a PSP title. It was what's the word? Spin-off for the Driver series. And there was a couple of games that were a bit of a spin-off to the Driver series as a whole. This one and Driver Parallel Lines. They have a link and a bit of a connection. But time's actually going to start when the first cutscene appears. So I'll start the game now, and then obviously I'll let you know when time is. So I'll start the game now, and then so time will be in, let's see, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so time. The thing is with this is that the timing starts as soon as you enter the first cutscene. Now we're immediately jumped in and we play as a guy called Ray. Now I don't think we know what his last name is, just other than he's known as Ray.
Yeah,
And
I believe it's never mentioned neither in 76 nor in Parallel Lines.
And he can kind of explain himself as he's going, right? Because he's got his own intro, so he's one of them cool guys as the introduction for himself. But yeah, this is like I said, it's a spin-off to the Driver series, and the entire city is based off New York City. So if you recognise it, that's why it is what it is. It should be noted that this is being run on PSP emulator, so there might be a few slightly bugs here and there. But aside from that, we're going to get straight into the run. And immediately, straight away, we've got police. And we actually have an easy way of getting rid of them, which is just to drive to Elmo's bar. You lose them pretty quick, but it kind of introduces you to the game. So there's driving offences. If you see him with a gun on foot, then you get on foot offences. But yeah, the main part of us is just to get to Elmo's bar. So that's where we're going to go. And immediately, one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to take this quick shortcut through the park. Mainly because, does it say about a couple of seconds, Phil Racer? Something like that?
I think it's about 4, and sadly, it can sometimes be a little bit unfortunate. Because sometimes there is a parked car standing near the more comfortable entrance. Or there can be a pedestrian. And the pedestrians in this game are actually a big deal, since they incur sizable speed loss. So, for example, if you were to hit a pedestrian in this mission, I'd estimate it at about 1 second of time loss.
So we made it.
Which is pretty sizable considering the mission's length.
I should also note as well.
Overall tightness.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of things to kind of note is that the entire game is set in like a comic book style. And before each mission, so this is something that was quite unique to this. So normally you weren't able to pick like a car or anything like that. But in this game, every single mission allows you to start with a vehicle of your choice. If you click the first option, which is just drive, it puts you in this car, which is called an Andek. However, the Andek is one of the cars that we're going to be using for a couple of reasons. Mainly because you can also upgrade this car. Now, normally I never used to do that until Failed Racer found out it was a thing. So big thanks to him. I mean, the whole point of how like this has gone from probably like a 147 or something to 142 and then down to under 140 recently.
Yeah,
but
and
the whole point is new straps.
It's about to go to around the low 149, 139, 138 maybe.
Yeah,
We'll
it's got the
see how it
potential
goes.
for it. Got the potential
And
for it.
yeah, considering this game's structure, you kind of have a pseudo open world, so you can freely navigate within missions. Of course, with added on restrictions, failed states, etc. But it's more of a mafia-like structure to this game rather than something like GTA. Of course, you have designated free roam mode, which is, I think, called Take a Ride or something,
Yeah, that's it.
where you can just roam around the in-game world and collect stars,
Yeah,
which you really don't want to collect during missions.
because it activates
Because-
like a slow motion camera, I think it is.
Firstly, it activates the slow motion camera upon hitting a star, and then after the mission, it actually adds more prompts, like showing you the rewards, and they actually add a second or two, and it's just a little bit uncomfortable when you do that. Speaking from my own experience. And now we're actually in the first somewhat difficult mission. It's not difficult in the sense like it's hard to do overall. It's just that you have tight windows to do it fast, especially while hitting the second truck. Since even while you're driving a truck to the destination, back to the lockup, the other trucks are still moving, and their position actually affects the time. At least the third truck's position,
Now get your monkey
because
ass back out there and bring back
thankfully
other two
the
vans.
second one is heading right to the lockup as you're delivering the first one.
So these three
You'll see
vans
it right now.
usually catch them around the same time each time. But the one problem that the trucks have is that you need to hit them at a specific angle.
Wow, that was clean.
That was actually pretty good. I didn't expect to do that good. That's fine.
Yeah, and actually, it was a pretty risky way to do that, because usually what I personally do is stop at a small distance to wait for the truck to approach and have them sort of T-bone me. So they stop dead in their tracks and can be immediately entered and then delivered right away.
So this last van, there's two ways of going about taking it down. You can either drive head on towards it, or you can ram it from behind. It's completely optional. Yeah. How that kind of hurt, but oh well. Well, moving on.
Oh, yikes, those corners can be hurtful. Well, from my experience lately, it's actually better to catch up to them. Since you can get a very good hit, as well as turn them around.
There we go.
Something like this, yet not really optimal. But oh well, it's marathon setting, so not much to be asked for.
Yeah, so the first chapter as a whole has a lot of easy individual missions. So obviously getting optimal, should we say the optimal run through chapter 1 isn't exactly easy, because obviously you can catch the trucks at different points. Like, for example, this could probably be like a couple of seconds faster, but it is what it is.
It can be like, from what I'm seeing, it can be around 10 seconds faster. from what I know.
Good job, Ray.
Yeah, around 10 seconds faster, considering you probably lost some time on the second mission as well.
Also, one other thing as well is that for the entire, like, so to kind of explain, we haven't even explained any of the plot. So you play as, like I said, you play as Ray, who's a wheelman for hire and things like that, and he goes along, he's in the criminal underworld and stuff like that, and he mixes with this guy who he keeps seeing in the cutscenes called Slink, who's a friend of his. The whole point of between Ray and Slink is that all Ray wants to do is get a girlfriend. That's all he's interested in. Some girl called Chen-Chi. And Chen-Chi is a Chinese businessman's daughter who's called Zhao, I believe it is.
Yeah, well, a businessman in the big quotation marks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's that kind of businessman. Yeah, so the whole point of like this first chapter is supposedly this is all to kind of impress Zhao, so that
Kind of appeal to him.
hopefully he'll let us go out with Chen-Chi. And that's the whole point of like the first chapter, but then things go pear-shaped very quickly, and then that's why there's another 5 chapters in the game. But it depends what it is, but for the most part, yeah, the game's linear is actually not too bad.
Yeah, to be honest, it could be just a pack of missions loosely strung together by the plot, which it essentially is. And by the way, after the third one, you know, like there's a structure through which you go. You can go on the left. There's nothing preventing you to go on the left to cut the path a little bit. Like structure near the entrance to the shortcut, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you can literally just go through here. Like normally, you could take the road if you wanted to, but you can just cut through like that easy.
You can cut through, and you can cut through more on the left as well.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, I kept missing the early game in your practice runs, so only deliver it now. Apologies.
Also, we've just been picking up a load of cigars, and now what we're going to do is we're going to rob them. So what we've basically done is we've dropped the dealer off, and he's like, right, okay, this is the last one, wait here. So we're like, nah, I think we're going to take what we've got. So we've just nicked the van basically, and now we're taking them back to Slink. So like I said, most of the missions are point A to point B. However, all of that is about to change in the next mission, which is called Ray Gun. Because unlike in the previous Driver games, aside from Driver 3, you can actually shoot in this game. It was basically seen as, after Driver 3, the series got a rep for being a really bad GTA clone. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. So yeah, in a minute you'll see us do a mission called Ray Gun. However, before that...
Don't forget to upgrade, yes.
Yeah, this is the thing. So we have these cars that we can use, and we're going to upgrade the engine. So we'll do the first 2 upgrades like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the mission. Now this is crucial for 2 reasons. One, makes the mission faster because you're chasing a car and
way faster.
And the second thing is as well is that because it's the first option in, I think it's the first option in the muscle car class for the most, for the entire game. It makes menuing a lot easier.
Game, it's only that the muscle car class got moved down by 1 point. In, I think, Chapter 5, Like, in Chapter 5, muscle cars got lowered down in the list since the sport cars are introduced. And yeah, another thing about upgrading the Endak before this mission is that you can actually outrun the van you're chasing right now in the tunnel and just head straight to the trigger for the shootout, which is where the game introduces on-foot combat. And with an upgraded Endak, the drive through the tunnel at full speed is actually noticeably faster.
The one thing that is probably worth noting here is that the van, if you follow this van behind it, it can actually like drive like it's really bad AI driving. Put it that way.
Yeah, but
So you'll
it
see
can
a fair
spin
bit.
out, it can hit the traffic if an unfortunate pattern occurs. But even if it doesn't occur, it can actually hit it when the AI messes up, which it is what it is. But thankfully, it's mostly manipulable, and I actually found my own way of having this mission be consistent. Which I actually managed to do while still staying behind the van, unlike Viper does.
Yeah,
But
I tend to go in front of it.
as it proved for him.
There we go.
Oh yeah. It's a usual thing. Like, if there's some traffic near the tunnel entrance, yep, he's most likely. Okay, you can full gas right now. You can do that. Don't worry, just full gas,
Just go.
please. You could have actually done that far earlier into the tunnel, but
There we go.
oh well. And
Easy.
yeah, that's where the game introduces the on-foot combat,
Yeah.
which
So-
is a pretty simple auto-aim and lock on your targets.
Yeah, it's
which
literally just
can be
aim and shoot.
wonky. It can be wonky when Ray chooses a wrong target. For example, in this mission, he can take up on a guy who's hiding behind the van,
There
for
we go.
example, when he has other options.
Nice.
That was a pretty decent chapter 1, actually.
Yeah, that was pretty good actually. I think 15-17 is as quick as I've had it so far. Okay, so we're going to be skipping through a lot of the cutscenes because, firstly, the MCA, you got the copyright music in here. The whole soundtrack for this game, by the way, is completely copyrighted, so for the sake of things, you won't be watching any cutscenes. Not even the credits you can't watch because of DMCA, so thanks DMCA for that. But anyway, regardless of that, so...
Oh yeah, this is the funny mission because the game tells you to break in on foot.
Yeah,
But
and...
oh well, we'll see right now.
Yeah.
It's a funny.
So it's
And
like breaking on
actually-
foot. Watch out for the security guard. We just go straight through the front window, pull up.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get in the car. Just,
And
yes.
to be honest, it actually speaks for how ambitious this game is for a PSP title, in my opinion, since it allows more freedom in completing the missions. Like, not really all that much hand-holding, except for some tight timers and a couple unfortunate fail states, but that's a talk for later.
Yeah, well, we've got two things about this mission, or should I say, these next few missions. So, excuse me. So, chapter after the first chapter, and we've pleased Zal, is basically like you think that you just by selling, giving me some fish and some cigars that you'll please me that easy. It's like, I don't think so. I want some sports cars, and you're gonna rob them for me. So the next set of missions are all a case of nicking some fancy sports car. Also, I accidentally hit the copper there, but that's fine. Yeah, but the whole point is,
apologies, just a small interruption. At that roadblock, you can actually manipulate the cops to free the way up for you by going from one corner to another, like from one side of the road to another, which is a little bit scary to do, but it's definitely a possibility.
I think that's
okay. apologies for the interruption.
There we
Let's
go.
go on with the story.
Yeah, so this second chapter basically just involves us. Stealing a load of sports cars. So that's what we're gonna do. So that first one was nicking a car out of a car showroom. This one involves nicking it off some rich cat. Apparently, who lives uptown in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And he's got some bodyguards as well. But you basically, it's actually one of the funniest ways of nicking a car. You'll see why when we get to it. But
Yeah.
we've basically got to get there before the VIP leaves, as you can see. But luckily, we got the upgraded on deck, so we'll get there in plenty of time. The thing is, the time limits are very generous on this game.
Well, most of the time it is. There's
Yeah,
like
most.
that one mission called Assassin. We'll get to it. It actually tries to put some pressure upon the player.
That, and I think one of the later missions, like supermarkets or something.
Yeah. Price Crash, it's called.
That's the one. So the funny thing is, half of the missions that are in Driver 76, so this and Parallel Lines came out the same year, and they both came out in 2006, and the funny thing is they actually share like very, very similar assets. So how's this for stealing a car? He just walks up, gets in, and then that's it. That's how you steal a car, apparently. You just walk up and nick the hell out of that.
Thankfully, with this mission, you don't have to deal with some wonky markers. Because, like, mission markers in this game sometimes are really, really wonky. And thankfully, didn't get to display it in the Up in Smoke mission, which they sometimes can be really uncomfortable to register.
Also, the funny thing
And,
is about these guys is these bodyguards, they're actually really awful driving. So you can literally just drive past them at top speed. You only have to like steer out of the way a little bit, and they're really not a challenge.
Sometimes you don't even have to steer out of the way, because like the only guard you can be slightly worried about is the one that goes up to you head on in the second pack. But even then, he's extremely easily manipulable into just driving into the wall.
Dead easy, very easy. So we've nicked that senator's car, and now comes a race. So this was what I was trying to say before. So Driver 76 and Power Lines share very similar assets. So like most of the cars are pretty much the same ones that you get in both games. And the stories are different. However, Ray links the two stories together. So Ray's character is introduced in 76 first, but if you play Parallel Lines first, you'll obviously see Ray there. So the main thing that links the two together is that 76 is set in the year 1976, and it's actually set 2 years before Driver Parallel Lines. So you get to play as another character in Parallel Lines called TK, and Ray's his friend. So basically you get to play as two distinguished characters throughout the Driver series, which is quite nice. I won't explain the plot or anything like that for Parallel Lines. I'd rather let people play that themselves.
Yeah.
But to kind of put it blatantly, Ray has a very big part in 76 because he's the main character, whereas in Parallel Lines he's more of a side character that you do like a few jobs from.
He's sort of a mentor character.
Yeah, he's like a companion.
If you could put it this way. And yeah, another link to Parallel Lines that 76 makes is Ray working with Link and being partners, which becomes the driving point for the start of Parallel Lines.
Not only that as well, that the games also share the 76, well, the soundtrack. So 76's soundtrack, most of it is in 78. Also, I hope these two behave.
And
yeah,
thank God you didn't get the slowdown.
Yeah, so there's a weird bug with this car in particular, which me and Phil Racer have discussed, I think, once or twice. But if you get in the car from the passenger side, it goes quicker.
With this car, actually.
So it's very odd.
It's also present with the fish vans. Basically, you have
I was lucky.
extremely decrease the acceleration. Oh. Okay.
That just happened.
Okay.
Anyway.
So yeah, with the fish vents and this car in particular, if you enter them from the passenger side, you can occasionally get very decreased acceleration.
Yeah,
And,
so it's
way we
like
handle
a
it.
weird one.
And it's also coupled with clipping through pedestrians, as well as some collision objects on the road.
Yeah, it's really
And on the
strange.
sidewalk.
Like, if you get it, like, you would have thought that no matter which side, like, for most of the cars, no matter which side you get in, the car speed will always be the same. But for, like, this car and for other cars, if you get in it on one particular side, it's quicker than the other. And it's very weird how that actually even works, like, is a thing. I really don't know.
It's just occasional, and I wasn't able to find any sort of pattern to it.
It's very odd. Also, we've got Red Up Rampage is done, so now we're going to do the Senator's Sweet Ride. So this is another one where we've got to follow somebody. Although this is more a case of, so at the end of the first chapter we had to follow a van. This one we have to follow a senator. Now the senator drives a sports car, and unfortunately his driving is just absolutely atrocious. Like, no words can describe this guy's driving.
And that's why I renamed this mission in my splits to tailing a drunk person. Let's say this.
Not too close.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
Thankfully, the same thing applies to this mission. Along with ray gun, you can actually, at some point, you can actually just drive to the trigger point.
yeah, so in a minute he's actually going to drive a bit off. He's going to go a bit wide,
Heading now.
and we're just going to drive past
that
him
corner.
for doing that. Although he likes to
And
drive like
when
a bit of an idiot. at times.
when he stabilizes, you can actually just
There we
go to the trigger point. Okay, you can drive now without like braking.
Although he isn't stabilizing again, he's going all over the place.
Okay, oh.
So this can happen. So the AI is like drunk as anything. It's drunk as a skunk. The guy is a real pain. Like, there's no consistent way of doing it from what I can find.
There actually is, but I don't exactly know how to describe this way of doing so.
Hello, Fifi.
It's like I actually got a consistent way to reach the trigger point relatively fast. I think it has to do with the moment when you overtake him. And yeah, if you start spamming the exit out of the vehicle button during the cutscene, you will exit your car during the fade in to the gameplay.
Hence how we got out of the side. At the side. The thing is, so I think it works in GTA games as well. So basically, if there's an object or something blocking the driver's side door, you'll scooch over to the other side and get out of the other side of the car. But it's not too bad. It's fine.
If both doors are blocked, you'll work out. And yeah, if you actually restart that section of the mission, like through the retry function, you'll actually be spawned not near the tree, so your driver door won't be blocked. Funny thing is. Okay, so those cops should be relatively easy to lose. Oh, okay, you take this path.
Only slightly different. It's fine. As long as the cops don't see me. No, they didn't. Okay, that's good. So there's a bit of a pesky cop that can always spawn at the end here, so hopefully I don't get him.
Thankfully you got both cops on the map while nearing the end point, so there is not going to be a cop near the lockup.
So you have to be very careful.
He's not gonna notice you. Okay, the next one I think is towing the line.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. the game kind of tries to escalate the threats from a guy on foot to a guy with a gun on foot, a guy with a gun in the car, and the cops. But actually, most of them are pretty harmless, except for the second threat being the guy with a gun in the car. Just because he's driving pretty erratically and he actually tries to stop you.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny mission because he's always like, oh, we're gonna try and stop you and make sure that nothing, make sure you'll be fine. It's like, yeah,
I'm
okay.
just doing my job, guys. I'm just doing my job. And don't forget to go back the way you came from. So, like, go to the left.
I've got it. Don't worry, I got it in my splits. I got it in my splits.
Great. It's just
there we go.
Local speedrunner brain freeze moment.
So normally I go right here, but I go left now because like my splits tell me to go left. So it's easy said than done. Just because of the fact that this way is like I don't know how much faster, but it's like maybe I want to say 5 or 10 seconds faster. Because instead of going all the way around the block, I have to turn left and right. You literally just do a quick weave and then you go from there. So we picked the sports car up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drop the car off like that. And now what Slink wants us to do is go and pick up another 2 cars. And apparently the 2 cars that he wants us to pick up are Rhapsodies. So the Rhapsody cars, they're like little, I don't know how do I explain it? Basically, if you ever seen the film Wayne's World and you've seen what Wayne drives in that film, the AMC Javelin, I think it's called. It's like a blue car or something like that. So basically, this car is based off that one, and supposedly our sports car, which I don't know what the car's supposed to represent, that apparently can be fixed using parts from some old AMC Javelin. I really don't get the logic in this one. Because I was like, oh, you'd expect, we'll pick up another sports car. But apparently, this little thing over here actually has the same parts as the sports car.
This is not looking good.
Also, so this is the bit that Phil was on about, which is you have this one guy trying to chase you and everything, and he's constantly shooting you the whole way, and he is a real pain in the backside. So you do have to be careful. But then in the second part of this mission, also, steady.
And speaking of pain in the backside, the thing about this game, of course, I fully realize that the marathon is like more of a PG thing rather than anything else. But of course, this is a PSP game rated R, I think, or like it's like 18 plus or something. PEGI 18.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a weird one. So in America, this got given the R rating, so it was in the UK's 18 plus. PEGI gave it an 18 plus when it was being sold in Europe, but when you buy it in the UK, it was actually being sold as a 15. So make of that what you will. Because I bought this game when I was about 15. I was like, wow, this has got a lot of swearing in it and stuff like that. Yeah. Luckily, we try and skip them. But then there'll be times later on, there's some missions that have like the characters talking and they will be swearing, so I do apologise.
And some of those lines are pretty memeable. I think we talked about that one. And you could probably already heard that when Viper delivered the sports car. Sling be like, it's a bigger piece of trash than I thought, but of course, instead of trash, you know.
The city needs more.
Also, the typical cliche of cops and donuts. It's a very typical cliche with this game. Yeah. It's like, man, this city needs more donut shops.
And it's gonna get repeated in chapter 6, I believe, where like you enter police lockup to lure some guys into it, and Ray just says, "Hey, guys, free donuts here."
Yeah, it's just at one point, it's just like, I mean, you'll see it on the mission, but basically there's a load of guys that go into a parking lot and it just doesn't end well. But we'll get to
Yeah.
that mission when we get to it later on down the line. But yeah, the one thing
Honestly-
to note is that with this game is that out of all the driver games that have the shooting mechanics, so Driver 3, 76, and Parallel Lines, this one, in my opinion, has probably the best shooting mechanics. It's not like it's not the best in the world. Granted, there's other games out there, like I said, GTA and stuff like that,
Well,
that have better ones. But for a driver game, it's not too bad. It's just the aiming system can be a bit awful.
and to be honest, when you get to the missions where there's manual aiming, it's a little bit sluggish. Just saying.
Also,
Like,
this is
the response to moving your analog stick is pretty off.
yeah, it's a bit of a weird delay. And also, it's kind of like instant as well. So that's me with my analog stick. It's pretty much instant, which is a bit of a weird thing, but it is what it is. The one thing I should mention, so this is the last mission in Chapter 2 called Scare Tactics. Now, in Scare Tactics, we have our lovely passenger here. You can barely see him probably through that windscreen. But we're basically going to take him for a little ride, and we're going to pass through some speed cameras, and we're going to basically scare the living daylights out of him to get the car. So, for the most part, the mission's relatively straightforward. However, when you get past the last speed camera, what you then need to do is you then need to scare you need to scare the living daylights out of him. And in the first 2 times, you just go as fast as possible, try not to hit anything or anything like that. And then in the last bit, when it gets to when you're finally about to crack him, your best bet is to start destroying the car. Don't damage it too bad, because unfortunately you do get a mission failure, as I did the other day. So you do want to make sure you don't damage the car too bad.
There's actually an alternative way. Like, if you follow the sort of intended path for
So,
the mission,
gonna give me this ride for free or what?
there's a police car coming out of the tunnel to spot you. But you can actually avoid it spotting you. It's like you need to swerve a tiny bit before entering that tunnel, and you just go out of its line of sight, so to say. It's quite difficult to explain, because Viper's gonna do a completely different.
Okay?
Viper's going a completely different way of doing this mission right now.
Yeah, it's just the way I do it. It's just a case
Yeah.
of I used to just go as fast as possible, and that would scare the living daylights out of him. So what I tend to do is get him scared the first 2 times like that, and then what we're going to start doing now is when it's time, like now, you can just literally touch the just keep tapping the wall, and he really does get scared.
And actually, this way of doing the mission, it honestly reminds me of a similar mission in Parallel Lines. You know, where you scare a guard
I think you
into
may need to get that
giving
drive.
you the info.
Yeah,
If you
Thanks for the ride, man.
if you remember this one. And of course, this mission again showcased some extremely cheesy dialogue, which is gonna be a staple throughout.
also, you remember that car that we had before? Well, we're going to upgrade it for a final time. Let's see, get that. So we're actually going to be
Third
buying a
engine.
couple of things. Third
Yep.
engine, bulletproof tyres, bulletproof glass, and a few other bits. So this is crucial.
And the one handling thing. Yeah. It's crucial because in this mission called a Russian Run, you're gonna get shot at quite a bit. So you'd love to get some bulletproof tires, because a tire popped in this game. Oh, it's a big thing.
Yeah, it's pretty
can
horrendous.
Pretty much ruin you.
Unless it can't be helped, the bulletproof tyres, bulletproof glass does help. The only problem is, and this is the funny thing, so you'd think with it being called bulletproof tyres and bulletproof glass that you wouldn't be able to get shot or injured. Even if they still
But you
manage to
don't
shoot you,
get that.
your health will go down. However, it's probably worth noting that your health doesn't deteriorate as quick as it would without the stuff. So it does help.
It's a big thing, actually, in the mission called Price Crash, which we were talking about
Everything is
earlier.
under control.
Because when you go through those shops destroying the stalls, there are actually guys with
Hold on,
shotguns
this might get a little bumpy.
which can do very sizable damage to you and even kill you if you're not careful. But that is when you don't have bulletproof glass on.
So the route that we take for this, it's pretty much the same every time. It's just a case of how fast can we smash this cop out of the way, because there's a guy that always blocks the thing here. So you can like give it a slight tap if you want to, but for the most part, yeah, you can just kind of, if you want to plow on through, you can do, but wouldn't recommend it since you want to keep.
That was clean.
You do want to keep your car for as long as possible.
The only thing you don't want to do while smashing this small roadblock out of the way is you don't want to get a widescreen slow-mo.
There we
We've only dead two.
go. Oh dear. Okay, cop's got him away there.
Oh.
That cop
And I
screwed
was
me
going
over.
to say, and I was going to say it's gonna be a good Russian run. Oh well.
So the whole point of this is the cops will
early.
try and the cops will try and get you, but the thing is that they try their best. They try their best.
They try their best, but they actually lose you as soon as you like enter the airport.
Your payment.
And as you could see on the minimap, one of them even despawned.
So basically, when you get to the end, it's like, oh, okay, the cops didn't care because apparently he's got friends on the inside.
Maybe, or maybe the creators are just afraid of the game.
Also, I
being
forget
too
about
hard.
this. So in this particular mission, there's actually like in most missions there's a cutscene at the start or something to kind of like, yeah, here's what you need to do. In this one, there is no introduction or anything like that. You literally just
It's
as soon
like
as
the
you get
single-
through a cutscene, that's it.
It's like the single mission without a cutscene in the whole game, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right.
The single main mission at least.
Yeah, it sounds about
Haven't
right.
touched much on the side jobs,
No,
but as for main ones, yeah.
the side jobs. So there's 50 side jobs, I believe, in this game
So
that you can also do on the side. So you've got 100. I think it's 120 stars to collect, which are scattered all around New York.
100% of this game would be a huge pain.
I don't think it would. You know, I think because the story
don't
takes
know.
like an hour and a bit, and then the races don't take too long. Plus, you can always use an upgraded car and
Some
stuff.
races actually do take quite a while.
Sitting comfortably.
Sadly.
Also,
Like-
way! Oh, yeah, that was awesome. I just wanted to see the cop fly over that ramp, and that was great. So this is a mission called Getaway. So Getaway involves you driving to a bank. You can already see we've already done that. Drive to a bank, and then what you need to do is you then need to drive from the bank to the location on the other side of the bridge. So their
Yeah,
hideout
on
is
the hideout.
literally just the other side of Brooklyn Bridge. However, there's a police roadblock waiting for you, and it's scripted to be there. So whenever you get to the end, whether you've got cops or not, there's always a police roadblock. Now,
Yeah,
for the sake
and,
of things, they can spot you, and they can cause trouble. So
Yeah,
what I end up
but,
doing is I just
you
end
actually-
up getting rid of them.
You actually just drive a little bit farther than the hideout itself before turning around. So you can basically just despawn the on-foot cops, and then the cops in the car, they don't spot you. So like this shootout is completely optional.
The only reason I did the shootout there, and the only reason I do it is because there's a number of times that I've smashed myself through that roadblock, got to the end, and then one of them cops has then seen me.
Yeah, that's
it's a
why
real
you
pain,
need to
so-
go farther. That's why you need to go farther for the cops to actually despawn. Because when you go a certain distance from that roadblock, the on-foot cops that can spot you, they just despawn and don't bother you anymore. Just a little FYI.
Also, first time we're ever introduced to bikes in this game, and the only time we're ever introduced to bikes in this game.
Exactly. Well, at least in
thankfully.
the main story.
Yeah, I mean, there is like a few bike racing stuff you can do as the side jobs, but as far as the plot goes, this is the only time you'll actually have any sort of bike action. In Driver Power Lines, there was a couple of missions that involved bikes, and because of the bikes that were, well, considering the bikes were faster than the cars, when they're upgraded anyway, it means that bikes were the go-to thing for that run, whereas for this run, nah, I only use them once, thankfully.
Yeah, and this mission is actually super weird. It feels like just being sprinkled in for the sake of it.
Yeah, so the whole point
sake of introducing the bikes, because you're just like getting money in this one, nothing else. It's not connected to the plot in any sensible manner.
I mean, the plot, by this point, where the plot's got to, so we've obviously given Zal them cars and stuff like that, and because he's took all of the money for that, he's like, if you collect the cars, he'll give him $50,000, and he's like, oh, that's sweet, then we'll collect the cars for you. So they collected the cars, and guess what? He screwed them over, didn't he? So they never got their money, which meant that they actually borrowed some of the money from a vault, and now because the money down, they need a way to get the money back. So the first one was to work with a Russian guy to deliver his cousin to the airport. Second one was to do a bank job getaway. Third one's a bike race, and the last one, out of all things, is to steal an ambulance and get a heart to a buyer, which is a weird way of making your money, but I guess whatever goes, whatever goes, I guess.
Yeah. Ask me no questions, and I shall tell you no lies.
Aha.
If you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Like when Ray asks Link, where does he get those jobs from?
Yeah, now I know what you meant by that. This game doesn't have PG stuff in it. It's fine. Like all I say is no excessive like vulgarities and stuff like that. If it becomes like it's not excessive in the game, so it should be fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the game, so there's nothing we can really do about it either.
Yeah, it's not like it tries to be something cool and edgy. It's rather just to help build up the atmosphere. And after all, those guys, let's be honest, they are gangsters, so they are gonna speak like gangsters.
True, yeah.
This cop is really getting on my nerves.
Oh yeah, sometimes.
So the whole point of this one is you've got a cop behind you, and I'm actually going to deal with this guy right now. There we go.
Once you get out of the car, you don't need to deal with them. They basically become inactive, and they even despawn after that.
I'm trying to think where the cop's going to come. Oh, he's there. Okay, it's fine. We got it.
So when you exit your car after taking down the ambulance, that cop becomes inactive. So you shouldn't worry about him at all.
So because we've now nicked an ambulance, we've now got to go and pick Slim Cup. So now that we've got the ambulance, we now need to get to the buyer. But we've got another problem. There's a heart in an ice cooler, and apparently we need to get there before it defrosts. So,
and only now we got the timer for the heart, if you know what I mean.
Here's the magic
only
line.
Now.
Ask me no questions.
Listen, and I shall tell you no lies.
Suit yourself, man.
There we go, there's the magic words. So it's just like, where did you get the job from? He's like, Ray, my man, ask me no questions and I shall tell you no lies. He's like, suit yourself.
Oh shit. This ice is melting.
Some of those lines are just pure gold, and you're gonna see it in the chapter 6 in one particular mission. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite line in the whole game, despite it like containing excessive swearing for that mission. But
There's quite a bit.
It's just so good. it's both good with how it's written, and it's even better with the delivery of said line.
Unfortunately, they probably won't be able to play out the entire dialogue because we do the mission that fast that we skip like some of it. But it is a funny dialogue.
Actually, if I recall correctly, the mission's called Arms Race, and no, you will get to play out the entire dialogue, since like when you get on the van, on the truck for the rail shooter, the time is actually pretty much like the time for the mission is based off when you arrive to the ship, when you arrive back to the ship, not when you dispatch the last enemy, because the helicopter stays with you for like the entire duration of the shootout, unlike
Quit fooling around, Ray.
the powder keg being timed by when you take out the bulldozer, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Hey, why don't we just stop right here?
So we'll get to hear that line and some more.
So that's that mission. I also wanted to point something out for that mission, which was normally there's a cop waiting for you at the other side of Brooklyn Bridge, but for some weird reason, we didn't get. He actually came up the bridge, and came
Yeah,
on. That was an interesting
that
one.
was some weird behavior.
It's been loaded on
I
the
actually
truck. Valentino's
never
already guarding the
encountered
exit.
this one.
So now, right, so to kind of just explain, so we've done Chapter 3 and got the money. However, now we're working with the Thompsons, which are a pair, it's a husband and wife pair of assassins. So now, Chapter 4 are all of their missions. And also, you get introduced to the first on-rail shooter as well,
first
which is
of the
called
two.
Powder Keg. Now, do you want to explain how this mission works, like with the truck and stuff like that?
Yeah. So basically, near the end of the mission, like mostly you're dispatching basic Latino cars, which in this chapter, yeah, you mostly confront Latinos. So you're basically dispatching the basic cars for the most of it, but then you've got the truck and the bulldozer, and for the truck and the bulldozer to not mess up and to not get slowed down, stuck, and essentially elongate the mission, you want to wait before dispatching the last basic car for not having an additional spawn. Since additional spawn would mess up the truck AI. And when you get to the truck, you also don't want to shoot it until
It gets close enough.
until he gets close enough and until he accelerates hard enough. Same with the bulldozer. Otherwise, things get real messy, and you can even get your own truck to stop if something goes very, very wrong.
There we go.
And yeah,
So,
here's where you dispatch the last basic car.
and then the truck comes directly for you. So he comes flying up at some speed, and then now it's just fill it full of lead.
Yeah, and you don't even need to dispatch the gunman. You can just go for the driver, actually, in every car. Except for, like, the last one, just to not have the gunman shoot at you.
There we go. Okay,
Because
so we've dealt with him. We've now got another
sometimes-
boss, should we say, which is called the Dozer.
Sometimes actually your health can get lowered so much that you get destroyed by that bulldozer.
So because he's now like close as he can get, we've now just got to make sure we shoot him.
And it's actually a consistent strat I found out through trial and error of messing with AI.
Nice. So
I
that's
actually
Powder
found
Keg.
a lot of stuff in this game. which is pretty crazy. And yeah.
So the funny thing
Hopefully-
is, actually, that's something. So in chapter 4, I think apart from so in chapter 4, all of the missions actually don't require you to pick a car because they already come with a car from the start.
Every single one. Every single one, you can just mash A or X, depending on what controller you have.
Or if you use keyboard, enter, I guess.
Oh, well, it's not enter, I think.
I don't know. Where is the
enter-
keyboard?
Enter is, I think it's start.
There's one other thing I should note as well. So, as it stands right now, the fastest time we've got is a 1:39.42, which I did the other day. But it can go into 1:38s. The other thing to note as well is that the reason why the time is so low is one of two reasons. First of all, it's being played on emulator, but that's not the main reason. The main thing is that if you play this game on an emulator, it actually plays at 60 frames per second. When you played it on an actual PSP, it couldn't even get close to that. So, would highly recommend that if you do end up running this game yourself or decide to give it a go, do yourself a favour, get the PSP emulator and have a crack at the game. There is two different versions as well. There's the European version, which we're playing right now, and the North American version. To be honest, in terms of if there's any region differences, there wasn't. I
think you've told me on one of the latest streams that there is actually a difference between the PAL and American NTSC versions, being the driving AI in daily missions.
Yeah, I think it's even worse than it is in the European version. Like, there's no... unless there's a consistent way. I couldn't find a consistent way of it going the same way as we've got it on the European version. Whether that's just emulator settings, I do not know, but it is what it is.
Neither do I, especially since I've only played this on European version.
Okay, that cop didn't see me. So there's a funny thing is, that cop, he's always at that junction, but he's not always coming from the right. He might be facing towards you or going away from you. But he always just seems to not care. Like, a speeding tow truck with a sports car on the back, he just doesn't care.
I mean, the game sort of telegraphs him not caring by the minimap. You can see the reduced vision cone on the minimap. It's highly reduced compared to what we see usually.
Also, on that mission, so there's all these orange dots and stuff like that. They're all scattered about all over the map. So basically, when you go pick the car up, there's a load of Latinos all looking for you. And they're all keeping an eye out. They've got patrols and everything like that. But as you saw, you can actually just drive past them. Because it does raise your suspicion bar a little. But it's not that much. It doesn't raise it too much.
Yeah, this game is just this exact mission is just scarier than it looks, more than anything else.
Yeah, it's actually quite an easy mission. Optional extras. Assassin, on the other hand, this is one that can easily go wrong, as Phil could probably tell you.
Yep, especially since there's traffic, and it's very, very dense. And when you go downhill, there can sometimes spawn a very uncomfortable traffic car, which can just completely flip you.
Have fun.
Which is pain. I have experienced that.
So the main thing, the main idea behind this mission is you may remember us mentioning that Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, who are the assassins who we are working with, they're paid to hire, paid to kill sort of thing, because they're assassins. So what we've got to do in this mission is you just drive them round and like that. The time limit, though, again, this was something that Phil touched upon before, mentioned, which is if you're not careful, you can actually fail this mission on time. Now, for us, it's not too bad, but for a casual player, you may struggle with the time limits. This one, it is actually a case of you need to be fast in the first place.
This is like the single mission that at least tries to put some pressure onto the player.
To be honest, I mean, for myself and for you, I don't think it provides any sort of pressure because we're used to doing the missions that easy. But for the most part, it's fine.
And as you said lately, like when you start speedrunning this game, you actually realize how easy it is.
Like when I first did a run of this, I was thinking like, well, there's only one run that's been done of it, which was Zoton that did a run of it. On
and
PSP
he actually
hardware.
did on hardware, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay, because I wasn't sure if there was a possibility of it being able, being able to be completed on emulator, if that was possible. But also this is split into two different bits. Yeah, there's something that needs to be mentioned here is that this is kind of split up into two parts. So part one is us dropping off Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, and then picking them both back up again. In the second one, things get a bit more tricky. So now we're going to have more harsh time limits. So now what we're going to do is we've got to drop them both off and pick the other one back up. But stuff is about to go down.
Don't forget to ram the Latino dealer a lot.
Yeah, that's the last thing.
It really does help.
So
I
like,
actually got on the gold from it.
I was gonna say, so like the return trip for picking Mrs. Thompson up, I always find that there's loads more traffic, and avoiding them is a real pain in the backside.
And there's a lot more traffic downhill.
That's great. Thanks, Ray.
Oh,
Be
the
right back,
PTSD.
So now we've got to go and pick Mrs. Thompson up, which we're gonna go and do. And we've got a very small time limit to do this. It's not that small, but it is a bit of a pain. The most notable bit about this mission is down here. So it's this jump here. So I always let off the gas and try and make sure that we don't have any cars. That's fine. Also, we made it just fine. So there's a guy's about to get in our car. She got him. Good shot. Nice shot.
After all, despite trying to be challenging, this is still a very, very generous time limit.
What do we do now?
So because everything's now hit the fan, what we've got to do is we've got to go and pick Mr. Thompson up. But that's not before we have one final task to do.
Oh yeah, and in this mission, another great line, in my opinion, when Mr. Thompson says, "Step on it, Ray," and Ray replies with, "Consider it stepped on, Mr. Thompson."
There we go. Here's the main bit.
It's just very, very classy, in my opinion.
Consider it done, Mr. Thompson.
It's just how he says it. It's just like, consider it done, Mr. Thompson.
Consider it stepped on, Mr. Thompson, actually. Like, when Mr. Thompson
I got him stuck.
says,
Yes.
Great.
I actually did get him stuck.
And you can bonk him more and more. Wow, and it seems like when you hit him through the front window, you're actually dealing far more damage than you would otherwise.
I've never actually got him stuck before. That's actually a first. That's a pretty cool way of doing it. He actually dies faster too.
I think I'll have to have a look at this highlight to maybe try and make something out of it.
Yeah, I don't really know how that happened, but there you go.
And here we go with the funny mission.
So this is a mission called Heat. Now, the whole point of this, it's basically you act as a decoy for the other cops. So it's
decoy
I'll let it
in
just play
big
itself
quotation
out.
marks.
This is like if there's any time for just sitting, chilling, so any donation reading, this is definitely the mission to go for.
Exactly.
To do it.
And yeah, you act as a decoy in very, very big wrong bridge. Yikes.
Oh
well.
We do have one donation that's come in since the start of the run, and it comes from Franzola23, a £1 donation with a comment. Hi there, keep up the good work, guys.
Yay! Franz is
nice
a fellow runner, racing runner, should I say?
Fellow CMR runner and a fellow Need for Speed runner, as it goes to me.
That's the one. So the whole point of this is you need to stop at the den, so the Thompsons can. They're basically like, right, okay, we'll wait here. Like, right, what you've now got to do is a case of there's two cops around the corner.
Keep the cops occupied.
But if you just play this carefully, so normally you can. There's two ways of doing this, but we'll do it the way that they didn't probably intend us to do it.
Yeah,
so
that's the funny. You act as a decoy, but in big quotation marks because of how the timer for this mission goes. You actually, like, this timer acts both as the time limit for when you can ditch the cops, but you can also trigger the cops right at the end. So you can just stay here, vibe until like 2 seconds on the timer, then you aim at them, trigger them, and you can kill them right away.
Yeah, it's literally just a case of if you think like most missions are pretty difficult, this one's quite easy. The other alternative is as well, and this is a slower alternative, but it's an alternative if you want to do it casually playing it through, is there's actually a container to this on this construction yard to the right hand side over there, and you can actually just sit on top of that and then stay there, and then that's pretty much it. So it's nothing too bad. Also,
okay, you should be
there we go.
Right about now.
Shit.
Yeah.
I think I got their attention.
And you can start shooting.
Those cops are
Yep.
history.
And that's actually another strat I discovered by messing with the game.
So we've now done that. We've now got a case of.
What took you?
And cops are back again,
Yeah.
just out of nowhere.
Let's get out of here.
Haul ass, Ray.
And let's hope you don't get any uncomfortable cop spawns.
Yeah, I hope not. So basically, you have to get the Thompsons out of there. They show up in their snazzy car, as they often have, for most of their missions. And yeah, all we've now got to do is just get our backside to the safe house. So we can do that just like this. Easy. So that is the Thompsons. They're all done and
Clean.
dusted. Dead easy. We got them to the safe house, which is great news. And yeah, so we're now going to move on to a guy called Isaiah. So Isaiah comes into it as a case of he's basically the money that they taken. So yeah, right. So the money that was taken from I think it's from like the safe or something. So Slink stays at Elmo's place normally, and because he stays at Elmo's place, he's like, "Look, I need some money. Can you lend me some?" The guy's like, "Yeah, sure thing, yeah." So he's like, "What about that money? Oh, we'll put some money. It's all right. We'll use some out the safe." He's like, "Oh, that doesn't belong to me. It belongs to a guy called Isaiah." And he's like, "Oh, we're dead." And he's like, "What do you mean we're dead?" He's like, "Because there's not a lot to it. It's just like, oh, we're dead." It's like, why are we dead? It's like, oh, because, you know, that's Isaiah's money. That's not your money. That's Isaiah's.
So kind of paying the debt, right?
Oh, nice.
And yeah,
Thanks for helping.
this is a great mission to talk about the story, even though the story of this game is
It's kind of up in the air, like...
it's not something to write home about, but it's decent, I guess. And this mission is great for that, since this mission is just an ultimate auto-scroller.
So...
Because the speed of completion, I think, doesn't depend at all on any of your actions. You just have to keep the guy you're escorting alive. Nothing more.
So the one thing I've managed to do recently on this is normally you've got to get these guys away from him. So I'm going to just protect him as best as I can.
Oh
But if
yeah,
you're
you
fast
managed
enough,
to despawn one, right?
you can literally just have one of these guys here. So like for example, I can just stop this guy right here, and it's like, yeah, okay, our guy gets away, that's fine, as long as I don't. Oh, sorry, as long as I don't lose him, but I just lost him. Never mind. But you can literally just, this guy could just go about and do his business and things like that, and you've got to stop the other guys from doing anything to him. But the easiest way of doing it is you can actually just like stop them from doing anything. So like for example, now I can just I've got bulletproof tires and bulletproof glass, so I can like hold him back. So he'll try catching up and stuff, and he will catch up actually because I'm gonna let him.
Yes.
I'm gonna just make him move.
And yeah, this mission is actually another case of some spawns canceling out the others. The first case of which being the powder keg, where you cancelled out some Latina car spawns by not killing one of them fast enough, so to say.
So this guy is just going to get away, and that's what we want him to do. And we're going to make sure that these guys don't hassle him. So you can do this in like several different ways. You can take him out, or you can have him like crash into stuff, just like that. The last thing though is down here. So if I'm fast enough, this is something I've learned recently, which is when he gets to this corner here, if you're fast enough, you can actually stop the car from spawning over here.
Yeah, you can just outrun.
If you look like back that way, the car doesn't actually spawn. It's a weird thing to do, but it works. It does genuinely work.
It's just a little bit more chill, so what to say.
The mission's fairly straightforward. There's not a lot to it, so that's fine. And just make sure that he gets around here just fine. Yeah, like the whole point of this mission is quite a long mission, dragged out over about 5 minutes.
4.5 exactly.
But it's a weird one, but it is what it is. It's fine. So that's hunted, and there's only 3 missions in Chapter 5 that you do with Isaiah. So that's the first mission. The second mission is one called Decoy, so we've got to follow Isaiah, but we're going to try and make sure he doesn't hit anything. Once again, there's another shootout that we're going to have to do. And there's a few funny things that we do.
This is like one of the most restrictive missions in the whole game, since you can catch a fail state extremely easily in this first section. Because, like, if you outrun Isaiah just by the slightest bit, you can fail state this. I think we both experienced that.
I don't think I experienced it myself, but
you have
close.
you actually have in your practice runs. I actually remember that you like tried to go through that cut.
Oh yeah. So he ended up just like slowing down.
It just went trip. Oh well. Just driver 76 things.
So you can like drive down here and then get to the bottom here. So you ideally want to be stopped underneath this, underneath that lamppost there as a reference point.
Yep.
So then that way, when he gets to you, you can just turn around.
Yeah, you can instantly trigger the marker. Yep. Another case of how easy the on-foot shootout sections are.
Now let's get the hell out of here.
So now that we've dealt with them guys, we're actually going to be doing another thing, which is we're going to use... we're actually going to kill the Latinos a bit quicker. So down here, normally there is a bunch of Latinos in 2 cars, but you can actually kill them off, like so.
Yep, with an AK-47. Very.
There we go. So he's now going to just disappear. There we go. He just disappears like magic. It's great. It's very funny because it's like, so normally them 2 guys, you'd have them following you. Like you'd shoot them and then you'd have them following you. But what you can do is you can just kill them, and then that way, when the Latinos are like, oh, okay, normally they're already angry at you, so it's like, oh, okay, they're gonna start chasing you. Normally, it's just a case of you've got to lose them, and then meet what's it called?
You can
Isaiah.
you can either kill them or outrun them. But if you try to outrun them, there's sadly a risk of getting your tire popped, which is an immense time loss, and you can get your tire popped pretty easily, since this is just a basic Serrano and not your upgraded Andek.
So the upgraded Andek is actually something you get, like, so you upgrade it as you go. But yeah, it's a pretty simple mission, and there's not too much to it. And you'll probably hear me say it's quite a simple mission. Like I said, as a first time playthrough, yes, there's a lot more to it than just, oh, okay, it's simple.
Yeah.
But now we've got a boss fight. I think this is the easiest way I could put it. Like, so Romero is a guy that is a real pain in the backside. And he's not actually too difficult. You'll see like how easy he actually is.
Yeah.
But Romero's like a mini boss in this game, if you can call him that, I guess.
And you know what? Like, you say, yeah, it's a pretty simple mission. Of course, they are more difficult casually, but the thing is, they are even more difficult to just do them well enough for a good speedrun, if you get what I mean. Like, there is some skill ceiling to be reached in this game to be able to perform well enough. Oh yeah, the glorious auto-targeting.
So, basically on this one, there's three guys. There's Romero and his two henchmen. You can kill the henchmen if you want to, but it's actually not compliant. As long as Romero dies, that's fine. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and there's a very convenient health pack to not get you killed, because they actually deplete your health pretty fast. Okay, good job.
Bit of a slide at the end, but that's fine. So yeah, we've now just got... Yeah, that's true. So basically, once we've killed Romero, we're going to nick one of his sports cars, which is called the Melizano, I think it is. It's one of my favourite cars in the entire game because of how it looks and how it sounds. It's a very nice looking car.
Miliziano, I think, something like that. Miliziano.
Yeah, something like that.
It's something of an Italian name, I think.
It's based off a Lamborghini Miura from the 1960s as well, so that's another thing. Most of the cars are based off real ones, but obviously they've had like their own tweaks and stuff like that, so that they're not actually those cars. So like I said, this is supposed to be like some old Lamborghini.
Ubisoft Reflections and Sumo Digital just don't have the money to pay the copyright fees to license.
Also, getting rid of these police, them two cops will always be sat there when you go past them. But you can always just take that little shortcut that you just saw us take, and you'll lose them pretty quick. There is actually a chance that you'll get a cop in a second as I get around this corner and go down the hill, so there might be a chance that I'll get a cop.
It should be fine. Oh,
but if he's there, then he's there. But if he's not, it's fine. If he's not, that's good.
That was a curious sidewalk.
Yeah, very curious. So you can actually just beeline it straight to the end. I don't know if this despawns police or what, but I remember years ago that when I tried to do this mission, there was always cops waiting for me at the end. But I think now that we do the mission that fast, it's like, oh yeah, you're alright, you're fine.
Yeah, and honestly, in this game, police are nothing more but a nuisance.
Also, if you're ready to see some really bad AI driving, then look no further than Pigtails.
Oh my, you're losing them. You hear me? You're losing the guys.
So let me just kind of explain what's just happened in the story so people are a bit more up to scratch. So we've give Isaiah his money, we've apparently paid off the Thompsons, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, so we've paid that off. It's like, right, okay, we're home free now. That's it. We've got all debts cleared, debts are cleared. We're all good. Yeah, we're going to live the good life now, Ray. That's supposedly what Slink has said. Anyway, no, apparently not. Jimmy,
Guys, what's happening?
who was Chairman Zhao, I think he's Chairman Zhao, I don't know, Zhao's right-hand man, he's actually betrayed him.
Like, he's like Zhao's
Lieutenant? That's it, yeah.
And now that he's actually betrayed Zhao and taken a huge part of Zhao's very legal empire, now Zhao, who jumped our protagonist, screwed them out of the money he owed them. Now he asks for help.
So he's like, you're gonna help me. And he's like, go back to the city and find Jimmy Yip for me. Make his soul burn. So, because he's said this, that's basically another way for, he's doing me head in, can you please kill him for me? So that's what we've got to do. So we've got to destroy his empire. So the first thing we've got to do is take out some of his goons by luring them to the police station. Like so.
Yeah, free donuts.
Free
donuts,
donuts. Oh yes.
Free donuts.
There we go.
All units.
So there's a load of cops in this one. So they're going to have a show with Jimmy's goons. Meanwhile, we can just get the hell out of there. And as soon as you come out, there's these cops that immediately chase you. But if you just go like straight on, I try and go a bit straight on here. But yeah, if you go straight on, you'll lose the police dead easy. Like that. You can actually just wait here. And then that's it.
Nothing.
So that's Pigtails.
Okay, so the next one is Price Crash.
Yep.
I think, yep. Where the end deck with bulletproof glass it actually becomes essential.
Yeah,
to, like,
pretty much.
Complete the mission in a chill manner.
So
And
the whole
then
point
comes-
like I say, the whole point of Price
comes
Crash
the-
is that you've got to destroy 3 supermarkets which belong to Jimmy Yip. Now, funnily enough, you may remember us talking about how similar this game is, how much it's got in common with Driver Parallel Lines. Well, this is also another similarity. So there's actually a mission in Driver Parallel Lines which involves destroying 3 supermarkets. Although in that game they're not labelled as supermarkets, they're labelled as pawn shops. Because they belong to Slink. And that's probably like a little hint for that game. I won't explain why that happens, but because you have to play the game yourself to find out.
It's a long story.
But
And,
that's got the same mission structure. It's the shops are in pretty much the same place as well. So the mission structure is just copied and pasted with a few like different bits added to it to make it seem like it's
one
new.
more thing different actually. There's one more thing different gameplay wise.
Go on.
Because in Parallel Lines you can actually use your weapons to help you destroy those pawn shops. Meanwhile, in Driver 76, your only options is pretty much drive through the stalls and that's all. So pretty much a little bit simplified gameplay loop of this mission.
What
There we
the
go.
hell?
So
And, yeah,
you have the
here's
3.
the dudes with the shotguns.
So there's 3 supermarkets that you have to wreck. So that's the first one. We're going to go for the second one now, which luckily is just around the corner. How convenient. And the third one, you guessed it, is even more nearer. So we're going to smash our way through, and we're going to get a couple of things here.
It's coming.
Hopefully I
And with
can...
how close they are, that timer isn't that intimidating at all.
Yeah, like literally this mission's as easy as it comes. And like I said, because you've got the upgraded Andek with the bulletproof glass and the bulletproof tires, they can shoot you however much they like, and you won't die. You will probably take a bit of damage to your health, but honestly, it's not even
2
that
health
bad.
points. 2 health points.
Like,
No.
they're shooting me at full pelt right now. And honestly, it's just like, there's nothing else to it other than that. It's just like, yeah, it's fine, we got him. Dead easy. So there's actually only 3 missions left to go now. So we've got Arms Dealer, Yippee-Ki-Yay, and Save Chenchi. Now,
And Arms Dealer. Oh well, you know what's coming.
Arms dealer has a couple of things problem-wise with it. The first thing is just getting off the car park roof. This is always the first hurdle. So you can play it safe.
It's not a car park. It's not a car park. Oh, okay. I thought it was like. Okay, never mind.
There we go. Got off it. Nice.
I'm just having brain problems.
There we go. Right. So we've got off the car park roof. That's fine. That was fine.
Then it will be the ramp to Jimmy's ship.
Yeah. So the whole point of this mission is you've now got to, like, supposedly one of Jimmy's trucks has been spotted in the docks, and you've now got to go and steal it. So your first thing that you have to do is to go and drive to it. Obviously this is self-explanatory. It wouldn't be called Driver without any driving now, would it? And then once we get there, that's it.
That path you take to the tunnel is not exactly optimal. But whatever. It's just another thing to be noted. Never mind. You can actually go to the alleyways earlier and not have to backtrack.
So I actually hit the tree here, so I have to be careful about this bit.
Oh yeah, I think it wasn't even a tree, it was like a small bush or something. But yeah, it was painful to see in your PB run.
So that's the truck there. And how are we going to get the truck? Oh, that's easy. You just drive up like that.
Yep.
And even if you flip the car, slow-mo flip, it's fine. Even if you flip, as long as you get near the truck, you're fine. And usually
you just trigger the cutscene. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, you may remember we had an auto-scroller segment. Well, we've got another one. It's dead easy. It's fairly straightforward. You also get not just the AK, you also get a grenade launcher this time around. So
one more thing about this shootout, you cannot influence the time of said shootout in a meaningful manner by like taking some enemies earlier or later, because that chase ends up with the helicopter, and when said helicopter starts smoking, you can just sit back and enjoy the ride until the mission is over, when you get back to the parking lot.
So with this being an auto-scroller, can we do a quick donation advert or a quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
cool.
Of course.
Right, so we don't actually have any new donations in since the last one, but what I will say is if anybody does want to donate, the link is being posted periodically in the chat. Now we have reached our goal, as I've mentioned a few times now, we have reached our goal of £500 by the end of the marathon, but I want us to donate even more, guys. Come on, let's get those donations in. Because it all goes to a fantastic cause. Everyone can be there, a fantastic character. I'll post a link in the chat for you guys, so that you guys can go and donate if you want. Every little really does help, and we do have 2 polls for the Arkham Knight run, which is happening not the next run, but the one after the next run. And there's 2 polls there for Big Head mode. Currently, No is winning in that one. And we also got Pick a Skin in the Arkham Knight run, which currently Batman Beyond is winning. So if you would like to influence them, then please do consider donating, because it all goes to a fantastic, fantastic charity. Everyone can really do a lot of work to help disabled kids get into gaming using custom gaming peripherals. And they also have a gaming centre in Manchester in the north of England, where kids can go and they can play video games with each other, which is just a very amazing thing that they do. They do so much work, so please do consider donating if you can. And any donations that do come in, I will read them out when prompted or during the interval. So please do consider it. Thank you.
Okay, so we've done like most of the auto-scrolling segment, but now what we've got to do is we've got a bunch of bad guys to deal with. Oh, we did have.
Oh,
we did have.
Oh, that's good. Wow.
So
that's another clean tunnel shootout.
So
and
whilst that's going on, we can kind of explain a few things. So them 2 guys normally chase you, and if you shoot, it'll take ages to kill them because they're toughened vehicles. They go out with one bullet of the grenade launcher if your timing's good enough and you can get your distance good enough for it. But
otherwise, you're stuck with them for most of the tunnel if you opt to use AK-47.
pretty much. And when you get to the end as well, this is another thing that's probably worth noting, is that when you get to the end, is that there's a cutscene that plays that shows them exploding.
Now that was sweet, John.
And you ideally don't want that cutscene. So yeah. Also,
Yep.
here comes Jimmy Yip in his helicopter.
And yeah, when helicopter starts smoking, you can just put down the gamepad and chill. Just sit back and enjoy the ride, if you know what I mean.
I was gonna say, I just keep shooting until it's it goes. It's fine. I
It
keep
goes
shooting.
when you. It goes when you arrive at the parking lot. And
Okay.
yeah, the iconic line is soon to come. Yeah, boy.
There we go.
If you know what I mean.
What the hell?
There we go.
Fuck you, Jimmy. Fuck you, hillbilly. It's only a matter of time.
There we go. That's the mission done.
Heck you, Jimmy. Heck you, hillbilly.
So the reason why that line's kind of funny in our eyes is because, to put it blatantly, them two guys didn't like each other. They didn't like each other when they had to work together, like when Jimmy was working for Zhao and obviously Ray was working for Zhao as well. So, but yeah, it's a case of it's just a case of, yeah, I don't like you. You don't like Hillbilly. It's like, well, you know.
Yeah, just a decently enough written antagonist. Decently enough for such a cheesy game.
But it's kind of funny because I never see the resemblance. I'm like, how is Ray a hillbilly? I don't get that bit. That's the one bit that I always struggle with.
I think it's just like Ray, in a lot of ways, is similar to TK. And as TK mentions in the introduction to Parallel Lines, that he came to the New York from like the countryside, and I assume a similar thing could be said about Ray, and that's probably what prompted Jimmy to call him like that.
Also, so in this mission, there's two things that we're gonna do. So, first thing is we're gonna pit this. Well, actually, say two things we're gonna do. Just get this car. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And speaking about this car and picking it up, so basically, things to be noted. First
Slink.
thing is that by this point you have already unlocked the tow truck a long while. But the thing is, it's one of those missions where Driver 76 gets restricted in terms of mission structure, and it just prohibits you from picking a utility vehicle for this mission, which one of those utility vehicles is a tow truck, and that would just immediately cut a lot of time from this mission called Yippee if you could just immediately start it in a tow truck.
Because the thing is, it's like,
start towing.
it's a case of you go and pick the tow truck up, you pick Slink's car up, then you've got to deal with Benny Singh, who's the guy's car we just blew up. So his car's actually pathetically weak. In the game, that car will take a lot more bullets, but for the sake of mission purposes, obviously, they make his car a lot weaker so that you can actually kill him. Because I always used to think, I'm never going to be able to kill Benny Singh. Like, even if I'm chasing him in the tow truck, how the hell am I going to catch him? Well, turns out the game's, like, the durability of his car is weakened so that when you obviously have to take him out, it's like, oh yeah, you know, it's
You're
like,
gonna catch him in this?
you're gonna catch him
There
in
is a
this,
reason-
and it's like, yeah.
There is a reason they call me the driver's link. So just sit back and enjoy the ride.
So it's
Another one of
another
those good
shooting
lines.
part.
The second last one, the second to last.
Nice. Good stuff. So that's actually like, that should be, theoretically, that mission should actually be the end of the game. Because supposedly we've blown up his house and stuff like that. But turns out that Jimmy
You are
didn't actually
actually
die in
close
the
to
explosion.
You are actually close to your PB.
Am I?
Just saying.
Nice.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
So like sub 140
Well,
on the
wasn't a
marathon.
fucking ghost we
Good
just
stuff.
saw, man. And he's got Chenchi.
Very good
So
stuff.
for this last mission, it's literally just a case of, it's about, I think like is it like 3 minutes of just chasing Jimmy, and then there's like a small shoot a bit, and then another
Yeah.
2.5 minutes or something.
Yeah, something around that. And it all just combines into around 7 minutes mission and at the end. And it's pretty consistent. That's why I was so confident in setting the estimate. Setting the estimate for what this run is going to end up in right now.
So currently my summer best is a 1:38.20.
By the way,
Well,
funny
that's
thing.
everything. I presume anything would go right.
Funny thing, Viper. When you gave me your splits,
She said he was crazy, you know?
I actually inserted the goals from chapter 6 into them, your goals. And the sum of best just went to like 1 hour 37.5 minutes.
God,
Yeah.
that's mad.
Let me look through the splits right quick.
That's like, that's pretty mad actually.
Yeah, and I think I'll be able to do a 38 pretty easily. Just need to get a good run together. Okay, so 1:37.42. Yep.
Blimey. That's a lot faster than I was thinking.
I'll be happy with I'll be extremely happy if I pull something like 1:38.30. That would be the perfect run for me. And yeah, in this mission, you should be careful to not hit Jimmy's car. Otherwise, even after a couple slightest steps, the Chenchi can die.
Yeah, so Chenchi
Why?
sat in the passenger seat,
Reasons.
and if you just like the other day, I hit him pretty hard and nothing happened. Like it was like, oh, just be careful, don't knock him. But when I was slightly rubbing on the car, like scraping the paintwork, it's like you killed Chenchi. It's like how? But yeah, that's just game physics, I guess, for you.
This was a big what moment for me when I watched that practice run of yours. Yeah, fun stuff.
So you get to
And
about here,
yeah.
and then Jimmy locks you into his. He locks you into
And yeah,
there.
you can actually do that cut, outrun Jimmy, and get to the trigger point a little bit earlier again.
Nice. And now, Chenchi has been
And now-
saved, supposedly. And now what we've got to do is we've now got to finish this. So we've now got to follow
Yeah.
Jimmy. Well, we say follow Jimmy. Jimmy's actually going to be following us.
Yeah.
Because
And,
it's another part of the mission.
Sorry about
And
disconnecting,
considering-
reconnecting there on Discord, by the way, guys. My Wi-Fi on my Mac just tanked for some reason. I think
Oh.
the stream is still fine. 'Cause I'm
Yeah, the
connected
stream
via
is fine.
Ethernet
I'm
to that.
watching it right now. Everything is going well.
Phew. Thankfully, it was only the Wi-Fi, I think, so it's all okay.
So what I was going to say is that considering that we're chasing a helicopter, this mission literally mimics the last chase from Parallel Lines. They can
Similar.
all reuse the assets.
Very similar. Very, very similar.
But yeah, not to spoil parallel lines further.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a case of if you play Parallel Lines and you play this game, there's a lot of similarities. Like I said, this game was actually set 2 years before Parallel Lines. So if you play that game, then chances are you'll play this one. I'm going to just try something new for this one, actually.
And the chances are you're gonna know exactly what's gonna happen in one mission or another when you see it. You can actually drive on the coast like the whole way and be fine.
It's really strange, like, it's just absolutely mental, really, with this mission. So you can keep, obviously, like I said, we're just going to keep driving straight here, and we won't lose Jimmy because of the fact that his helicopter does tend to slow down, and you do tend to get messages saying, don't outrun Jimmy or don't lose him. That proves like how slow his AI actually is.
Yeah, and from what you've told me, I assume it's even worse in the American version.
Yeah, it doesn't go too slow, but it's not far off.
Understandable. And well,
also,
that's pretty much it. At the end of the run, nothing more to say really about the game itself.
Yeah, just to mention that time is going to be coming up pretty shortly, so if you want to get yourself ready on time, it's probably about half a minute away yet, but it's
like
coming close.
Half a minute, 40 seconds, something along those lines. And I think I actually determined the exact frame when the game is completed. It's when your UI disappears before the fade out. It's just small frame by frame retiming stuff.
Time.
Congrats.
And that was a PB by 5 seconds. A PB's 5 second PB. Yeah, 1:39:37. And just to prove that we killed him, we blew his car up. And we went flying into the ocean. However,
I'll skip all the cutscenes.
However, Jimmy died. We didn't. We survived. We lived. But yeah, there's unfortunately, like I said, I can't really play the cutscene due to copyright reasons. But it gives an ending. It gives like an ending that's like, yeah, okay, here's the actual, like, the true ending. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So you've got like the ending here. But again, I can't show the ending, unfortunately. I'll play the credits because of music reasons. But yeah, that was Driver 76. I do apologise for going massively underestimate, but I'm glad that run went so well in the end. And yeah, hopefully we've managed to explain a load of stuff to you guys, and hopefully, like I said, feel free to give this game a try. It's relatively straightforward to get into. It's probably not easy to go for a really good time straight away, but obviously it's just a learning process, same as any other speedrunning game. If you're into, put it this way, for me, Driver 76 is if you want to run something like GTA but without learning all the duplication skips and stuff. That's probably Driver 76.
It's like, I'd say it's like learning GTA Liberty City Stories, but with far more driving.
Yeah.
And no real open world. And yeah, I think we should plug the driver Discord. I think we should do that.
Yeah, for the sake of things, there is a Driver Speedrunning Discord, and there's also a Driver Madness Discord. The Speedrunning Discord does everything speedrunning, of course, where you can find all people talking about the speedrun stuff that they've done, and PVs and stuff, and so on, and strats and things like that. And then if you go to the Driver Madness Discord, that's actually the main driver community, like the entire driver community, more or less. And they talk about everything from upcoming driver titles to remakes to reverse engineering stuff, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, both communities are pretty good. Like I say, if you want to just try Driver casually, Driver 76 casually, It's definitely fun and enjoyable. You might struggle with it at first, but again, after a bit, it becomes like clockwork. It's quite fairly straightforward. Getting a good time isn't as easy as it looks at times, but it depends on your luck with other missions and things like that. But yeah, I'm going to kind of round this run off here. Thanks again to Fail Racer for joining me on co-commentary.
No problem.
And-
Big thanks for having me. This was a blast to go through.
Glad that we could show this off for InstaSpeedathon, and hopefully everyone at home's enjoyed. Sure to get any donations in before the event ends at the end of today. And yeah, that'll be kind of about it. So I'll hand it back over to the tech guys.
Cool. Thank you very much for the run. It was pretty fun to watch that, actually, to be fair. Okay, we did have some non-PG stuff in that run, but it's fine. It's in the game. It's all right. And it wasn't really too excessive either. But thank you very much for doing that. And thank you to everybody who's been donating as well. Thank you, Viking, for the congratulations on meeting the goal in the chat there as well. Again, if you guys would like to donate, though, we are still accepting donations. Don't just mean that because we've reached the goal that you can't donate anymore. You absolutely can donate, and every little does help. Everyone Can really are a fantastic charity. I've been posting the link, and Damien has been as well. Damien's currently away shopping, I think, so he'll be back very soon. But me and Damien have been posting the link in the chat periodically throughout today and throughout the weekend, really, as well. So please do get those donations in. We do have 2 polls for the Arkham Night Run, which is happening not the next run, but the run after the next one. And if you guys want to influence whatever gets decided there, then please do consider donating to those so that we can see what happens. Now, for the polls themselves, there is a big head mode on Arkham Knight. Currently, No is winning on that one. And there's also Pick a Skin, which Batman Beyond is currently winning. So please do consider donating to those polls if you are donating as well, just so that we can try and influence it a little bit more and see how we can change the run. But thank you to both of you for the commentary. Thank you to PPG for the run. And we'll be going over now to the interval. And next up, we have Dan Spence again. We have Dan Spence doing Metal Gear Solid, all bosses. And we'll be going over to that in about 15 minutes time. So don't go anywhere, because that's going to be a fun run to watch. We're going to head over now to the interval, and we'll see you all soon.